Good morning, Life Point Church. Can you believe it? We are still under quarantine rules and still coming to you via Facebook. So here we are. I thought we'd be back by now, but I think this week we should be back together, and I can't wait for that. I'm really looking forward to it. So we find ourselves outside today during these videos, and I was just thinking about this, and in the world today, you know, and I know that we need peace, and Jesus is that Prince of Peace. And you know, I couldn't think of a better place than to come out to here, and this is my peaceful place. This is where I go, prayed many prayers in these woods, saw the sunrise here and saw the sunset, and it's just a great surrounding. And sometimes you just need to get away and just and get that peace, and I hope this brings a little bit of peace to you. But this week we are continuing our lesson in our summer project series now, and this is series 1, Contending for the Faith, lesson 1.2, Striving for the Faith. So taking a stand for what you believe in. And we have some good examples of that in the Bible on men and women that were taking a stand for what they believe in. And what a fitting lesson that we have for this day and age also, that, you know, the world isn't like the church, and it shouldn't be. The church shouldn't be like the world. But if we're going to stand for what we believe in, we've got to make a stand against the world sometimes. We have to make a stand against what's popular, and we have to stand for what we believe in. We find a good example in the early church in the book of Acts. We find a revival church that was taking place, and it was a growing church. And you know that growing churches have growing pains sometimes. And they were having growing pains, and they needed to appoint some ministers to staff, and they needed some extra help because they were growing so fast. And they found a few, but one of those men in particular, we find Stephen at that point, and he was chosen to serve in that capacity as a minister. Now Stephen, when he's listed first, so we could maybe take it that he was maybe a leader in this group, and he was used in gifts, he was using great miracles that were under his ministry. And one thing for sure that we know, that he was powerfully used, he was anointed, and he was a fearless preacher. In his sermons, he doesn't hold any punches. A lot of you would have loved Stephen in a day like today. He would say it how it is. He would just put the truth out there, and whatever needed to be said, he would just say it. He wouldn't hold back any punches. He would give indictments to the people of that time. He told the Jews that their temple was just a building, and that God was bigger than their building. And he charged their fathers with killing the prophets who foretold of Christ's coming. And he said that they were co-conspirators of his death. Lastly, he declared that they had not kept the law. And with that final indictment, the people just went crazy, and they picked up stones to stone Stephen. And we find the story of Stephen's stoning, and when those stones were coming against him and they were crashing against him, you would think a person would just maybe cry out for mercy, that they would cry out or just try to run away, just try to get away. But Stephen didn't do that. What he said was found in the book of Acts chapter 7 verse 56. And he said, "I see the heavens opened up and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of God." In that very last moment of his life, Stephen decided still to stand for the truth, to stand for what was right. He didn't back off his beliefs of Jesus Christ. He didn't back away from the gospel, but with his last dying breath, he still declared what was true. We find this man, Stephen, who was able to take a great stand in his life for what he believed in. And I just want us to think about that this week. There's a lot going on around us. It's very easily to be pulled one way or pulled the other. We know that the enemy is trying to divide us. But we have something to stand for. No matter what we believe in this social atmosphere, you have to understand that we're always needing to be standing for God. Let that be at the forefront of everything that we believe in, that Jesus comes first, and you'll find yourself on the right side of history every time. Thank you so much for listening to day 1, and join me tomorrow out here again for day 2 in our lesson.